Barbershop Paradox. In a town, it's customary for the barber to shave people who don't shave themselves. However, who shaves the barber? If he shaves, it's against the rule. If not, he should be shaved in accordance with the rule. Simpsons Paradox illustrates how findings gained from individual subgroups may not always align with the overall result. It happens when a trend emerges in distinct data groups, but vanishes or reverses when the groups are combined. Liar Paradox. Suppose someone claims to be lying. If the person is telling the truth, then the person is lying, meaning that the person was only lying about lying. Value Paradox. While non-essentials like diamonds are more expensive, essentials like water are less expensive despite their necessity. The Raven Paradox states that discovering a black raven proves your point that all ravens are black, but it also argues that finding anything that is neither black nor raven, such a green apple, proves your point. An endlessly large hotel with an infinite number of rooms is the Grand Hotel Paradox. The hotel has an endless number of rooms, so even if every room is taken, they can still accept more visitors. For example, to make room for you, they could theoretically shift the guest from room 1 to room 2. This would require moving every guest from their current room to a new room. According to the Stockdale Paradox, having faith that you will succeed eventually raises your chances of success, while having faith that you will succeed quickly diminishes those chances. Grandfather Paradox. You might be able to avoid your own birth if you use a time machine to stop your grandparents from meeting, but how could you have used the time machine in the first place if you were never born? Needing something you can only have if you don't need it is known as the Catch-22 Paradox. For instance, a pilot who is insane can avoid risky flights, but requesting not to fly indicates that he is sane. Temperature Paradox. If the temperature is 90 and the temperature is 90 rising? Opposite Day Paradox. If I say that it's opposite day, is it? The Paradox of Pinocchio. Logical conundrum arises if Pinocchio claims that his nose will grow. In the event that it is true, he is lying. In the event that it is untrue, he is telling the truth. After all, his nose should expand. Lottery Paradox. It is acceptable to think that a specific lottery ticket is not the winning ticket if there is only one winning ticket in a huge lottery, yet it is not rational to think that no lottery ticket will win. Olbers Paradox. Why is the sky dark if there are a vast number of stars in the universe? According to Jevons Paradox, technological advancements that boost resource efficiency typically result in higher resource usage overall because consumers find the product more appealing. Achilles and the tortoise. Achilles, a fast runner, gives a tortoise a head start in a race. The paradox says Achilles will never pass the tortoise because every time Achilles reaches where the tortoise was, the tortoise has moved a little. It keeps going like this, forever making it seem like Achilles can't catch up. Preparedness Paradox. Because of the reduced damage resulting from preparedness for a disaster and mitigation of its effects, the perception of the disaster would be significantly less severe. Interesting number paradox. The first number that can be considered dull rather than interesting becomes interesting because of that fact. Ship of Theseus. It seems like one can replace any component of a ship, and it is still the same ship. So they can replace them all, one at a time, and it is still the same ship. However, they can then take all the original pieces and assemble them into a ship. That, too, is the same ship they began with. Friendship Paradox. On average, your friends tend to have more friends than you do. This happens because people who are social and have more friends are more likely to be your friends' friends. According to Schrödinger's cat, a particle in quantum theory can exist in several states concurrently when it is not noticed. This state is known as superposition. When the particle is observed, however, the superposition condition collapses, and it happens to be in precisely one of those states at random. In a hypothetical scenario, we could place a machine in a box that releases poison only when a particle is in a certain state. We could also place a cat inside the box, and until the poison was released, the machine would simultaneously release the poison and not release the poison. This would mean that the cat would remain both alive and dead until the poison was observed. Obviously, this would only work if neither the machine nor the cat are thought of as observers. Twin paradox as stated by Einstein. If your identical twin became an astronaut and traveled on a spaceship that traveled at the speed of light, you would have been a few years older than him when he returned. This is because time travels more slowly in space. Unexpected hanging paradox. The condemned prisoner is informed that he will be hanged on a weekday next week, but as the week goes on, the execution will surprise him. He reasons that Friday is the latest possible day for the hanging because it would still be surprising on Thursday, but if it hasn't happened by Thursday night, Friday is no longer surprising. so he concludes it must occur on Thursday, yet that would also be expected. Sorites Paradox, you have a heap of sand. If you remove one grain at a time, when does it stop being a heap? Fermi Paradox, if the universe is infinite, why haven't we seen any aliens? Tolerance Paradox. Unlimited tolerance can make tolerance disappear as it allows too much intolerance for a tolerant society to survive. It must not tolerate intolerance. Bootstrap Paradox. Who is the original author of a book on relativity if a time traveler gives it to a young Einstein and he publishes it as his own? Abilene Paradox. People can make decisions based not on what they actually want to do, but on what they think that other people want to do, with the result that everybody decides to do something that nobody really wants to do, but only what they thought that everybody else wanted to do. Paradox of Thrift. Saving more money individually is generally a good thing, but it can lead to economic problems for everyone, as it could cause reduced consumption and economic growth. Crocodile Paradox. A crocodile steals a child and promises its return if the parent correctly predicts what the crocodile will do. If the parent says the child won't be returned, and the crocodile agrees, a paradox arises if the crocodile returns the child. It contradicts its promise if it doesn't return the child. It also contradicts the agreement. Sword and Shield Paradox. What happens when a sword sharp enough to cut any shield meets a shield strong enough to block any blade? Birthday Paradox. 366 persons would be required to have a 100% chance of at least 2 members of a group sharing the same birthday. 23 people would be required to have a 50% chance. 2-envelope Paradox. You are given 2 indistinguishable envelopes, each of which contains a positive sum of money. One envelope contains twice as much as the other. You may pick one envelope and keep whatever amount it contains. You pick one envelope at random, but before you open it, you are given the chance to take the other envelope instead. Ironic process theory. Ironic processing is the psychological process whereby an individual's deliberate attempts to suppress or avoid certain thoughts renders those thoughts more persistent. Cantor's paradox. The set of all sets would have its own power set as a subset. Therefore, its cardinality would be at least as great as that of its power set. But Cantor's theorem proves that power sets are strictly greater than the sets they are constructed from. Consequently, the set of all sets would contain a subset greater than itself. Hedonism Paradox. The more directly one seeks pleasure or happiness, the less likely they are to achieve it. The moving rows. Suppose 2 rows are moving past a stationary row in opposite directions. If a member of a moving row moves past a member of the stationary row in an indivisible instant of time, they move past 2 members of the row that is moving in the other direction in this instant of time. Thank you for watching and subscribe.